Hello, my beautiful friends. It's Amanda here, and today we're going to be talking about some new ColourPop palettes. Also, just address the obvious. I am recovering from being sick. I still have a little bit of that residual stuffy nose, kind of sick person sounding voice. So my apologies for that, but you know, it feels good to get back to making a video after a involuntary break from posting videos. I had a whole slew of videos scheduled for this week that didn't happen because I was down and out. I'm very glad to be back with this short, sweet video where we're going to take a look at these two new ColourPop palettes. They are launching at Ulta first, at least according to the information I got. You know, sometimes they change their minds about these things, schedules get thrown off, prices get changed, but according to what I know, these will be available at Ulta on December 25th, and then they'll be on the ColourPop site on December 26th. If you decide to purchase from the ColourPop site, or if you don't have a choice because you're one of my international friends, then you can use my affiliate code. It's just my first name, Amanda, and that will save you 10% on this collection and pretty much everything else on the ColourPop site. There will be some Super Shock shadows with these palettes. According to the info I got, this is a return of some fan favorite shades, which means that they're not new colors. They're just coming back or re-releasing, relaunching some shades that had been previously available. So make sure you take a double check of your current Super Shock collection before you dive into these, because it is possible that you may already have these shades. For that reason, I'm just going to focus on the palettes here because we do have two new palettes. I'm going to show you some close-ups. I'm going to show you swatches, finger and brush swatches, and of course, we're going to do a few comparisons as well. So let's start with the pink palette. This is the Petals in Point palette. These 9-pan palettes should be priced at $14 US a piece. As usual, the ingredients are listed on the back of the outer box only. They are not pictured on the palette itself. So if you are somebody with sensitivities or just interested in ingredients, make sure you hang on to your box because you will not find those ingredients listed on your palette. Neither one of these palettes has a mirror inside. They are the heavy-duty cardboard packaging with the magnetic closure, and these are the smaller sized pans. Just FYI, in case you plan on swapping around your eyeshadows, these are the smaller sized eyeshadow pans. And close up here, you can see the shade names are printed inside next to the pans. When you take a look at the swatches, here on top are the finger swatches and then below are the brush swatches. I just use a dry, flat eyeshadow brush for my brush swatches. This Petals in Point palette has 3 true matte shades, 2 mattes with glitter, and then the remaining 4 shadows are just regular metallic shimmers. And I do find across the board these are a lot softer, not really quite as intense as other shadows. You'll see that from the comparisons. Blush Crush was highly requested on my Instagram page, and as you can see here, these are not very similar. Blush Crush looks positively peach in comparison to the Petals in Point palette. This one is much, much softer in pigment and in tone, and it's definitely a lot more cool neutral, whereas Blush Crush is very warm in comparison. Now we have a recent release. This is the Pretty Please palette. It has a similar alliteration, a similar theme, and a very, very similar color story, as you can see here. I do think you can really tell the difference in the opacity of the shadows, particularly with such a similar color story here. If you like a soft wash, then you'll be just fine, but if you're looking for pigmented pastels, not what you're getting from the Petals in Point palette. One of my recent favorites, the Aurora Struck palette, you can tell is not really very pink in comparison. It's definitely a lot more purpley lilac, But overall, I do think you could get some pretty similar looks from these two palettes. These aren't exact dupes by any means, but I do think you kind of get the gist of the color story from both of these palettes. I will say the Rock Candy palette is by far the closest in my opinion. So if you have Rock Candy and any of these other palettes, you definitely already have this color story. I mean, these are almost exactly one for one dupes here. Not identical, but like fraternal twins. I've seen fraternal twins that look less alike than these two. So if you have Rock Candy, you already have these colors. Now we're going to move over to the Sage the Day palette. This one really pulled at my heartstrings because my late doggy was named Sage. So I just absolutely flutter when I hear this. And also I love green eyeshadow. So, you know, my interest was very much piqued by this one. Same $14 price tag, same style of packaging, and honestly, I wish that these colors in the packaging were more closely reflected inside in the shades because it does end up being quite neutral and there's a lot of warm neutral undertones happening here. I wish they had leaned more towards cool neutrals paired here. I think that's just matches the packaging better. But I do think this is going to appeal to a lot of people. So I definitely understand the reasoning. And honestly, I do still like this color story. I just wish it was a little bit more unique and offbeat. The Sage the Day palette has 4 mattes, 4 just regular shimmers, and then 1 matte with glitter. It's that warm medium brown called Manifest. I don't think the glitters are very apparent, so it's not as much in your face as some of their other sequin glittery mattes. And we have this duochrome that may look familiar because ColourPop loves to put this very similar brown, green, brown, blue duochrome in a lot of their palettes, as you will see from some of the comparisons here. First comparison is the Child palette. I think this is pretty darn close, and I also think that the Child palette performs a little bit better and has a little bit more interesting variety. Just my opinion, maybe you prefer the Sage the Day color story, and that is great too. But I do think the Child is more of a standout palette and pretty similar overall. I combined the Mandalorian and Just My Luck because the Mandalorian didn't have enough greens and Just My Luck didn't have enough neutrals. So mixed together, these can get pretty close. Between the Child, the Mandalorian, and Just My Luck, these shades are more than covered if you have those 3 ColourPop palettes already. Now the next comparison that I'm going to do is not really that similar, but I just wanted an excuse to pull out my Druid palette. This is from Fantasy Cosmetica, and I love the way that they combined neutrals and greens in a really interesting and just more unique, bold way, but it's still approachable. And I think you can really tell the difference on the shadow performance, particularly the metallics. Just throwing that out there just to make you aware if this Druid palette wasn't on your radar. It is a beautiful green and neutral option. I also had a ton of comments talking about the Natasha Denona Retro Glam palette. I don't have that one, so I can't say how accurate the swatches from Natasha Denona are. I'm just going off of swatches that I found online. I can see a very similar color story happening here, but overall it seems like the Natasha Denona option is more saturated and the greens are a lot more cool toned. The pinks are pretty similar. The petals and point pinks are definitely lighter, but overall I would say it's a similar idea, but not a dupeable type of situation here. Maybe you disagree. I don't know. I don't have that palette, so I really can't say for sure, but I just wanted to throw that out there, do a little comparison as best I could from online swatches because so many people mentioned that in my Instagram comments, so I really wanted to try to at least put together an estimation there for you. Hopefully you found this video helpful and not too terrible to listen to with my little remaining stuffy nose. Thank you for your patience as I let myself recover and also just enjoy hanging out with my family over this holiday weekend. And I will be back with lots more fun videos soon. I have one more collaboration video coming up. I have my Best of the Year series coming up. So we have a lot of things to look forward to. I appreciate you just hanging out here with me on the channel. Thank you again for your patience. Happy holidays if you're celebrating any holidays, and happy day if you're not celebrating any holidays. I definitely want to hear what you think about these palettes. Are you interested? Are you going to be picking them up? Did you just realize that you already have all of these dupes and probably 10 more? I always love to hear what you think about things too, so make sure you leave all your thoughts down in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye! Love your face, wash your hands, bye!